Today we're gonna make a really big mess while working on the Xterra with tons of different fluids out of things we know make a mess and we should be careful removing them, but we make the mess anyways. And we're also gonna remove the lower intake manifold, take off all the belts, take out the fuel rail, and keep diving a little bit deeper to see if we can figure out where that coolant leak's coming from. Probably the head gaskets, but I'm really hoping that it's actually just a lower intake manifold gasket and I did an improper install when I fixed my leak. And we're also gonna test out a better way to store engine hardware that I'm super pumped. These are custom design little trays that I made. I think it's gonna make life a little bit easier. You're going to see me use some white trays throughout the episode, and I wanted to give you a brief overview of them before we dive into the episode. For a long time, I've been thinking of better ways to stay organized during repairs and projects. The idea for these trays I have is to have marked locations for hardware and small parts coming off the engine, and I also wanted the trays to have a small footprint on the workbench while also being modular and stackable. I'm making this first batch of trays in white Polymaker PETG. The white color will let me mark on the trays with a Sharpie, while the PETG will give me some chemical resistance to most shop fluids, while also providing good enough temperature resistance. I use my Prusa XL to print the trays, since they're just a little too large for most standard printers. Okay, back to the Xterra. Need to get the radiator out. All right. Ugh. Nasty. Oh, I'm dropping stuff in my eyes. There's a plastic bottom portion of the shroud that snaps off. And then you can just pull it up over the fan. And it's kind of weird to get out. It's boring, but just in case you missed that. Ah! So this little bottom shroud piece right here is pretty cool because it just clips off. A lot of vehicles have this. The Xterra has it. You've got a little keyhole in the bottom, and then you've got two little clips on both sides that just go in there. And you just got to play with it because it's easy to break. This one's this is the original off the old radiator, and it's still in pretty good shape, believe it or not. So treat it like it's gonna fall apart when you touch it, because that's how all old plastic is. And you can see how thin it is. I think I can zoom in. Yep, there we go, right there. This is gonna break if you force it. So don't force it, just kind of work it in there, get it off, and then now the radiator can come out. Let's make sure I undid the coolant lines, or trans-cool lines, because I don't think I did, and that would not be good. Nope, I totally didn't. Perfect, man. I really was hoping I'd be able to spill more stuff on my floor, because there's no real good way to get that off without the little leaky. If you don't own a set of these, I highly recommend it. These are little Harbor Freight hose pliers that I've had forever. I bought them for like next to nothing and they work awesome. Oh yeah, come on buddy. Woo! You were just off. Come all the way off. I probably should replace these, but I won't. Maybe, oh yeah, oh. Yep. Trans fluid looks good. Still red. I just changed it, that's why. Cool, we're ready to come out. Pretty sure. All right, let's pull her out. Let's make a mess. Good thing my teardown table with the drain is covered with stuff, so I can't use it. You know what? We're gonna actually get the teardown table ready to do teardown table things. Oh, well, you know, it's okay. That was bound to happen. Okay, not bad. So, clippy thing, right into the bottom, right here. There you go. It's not bad. We're gonna leave it in. Oh, and when you remove the radiator on these, because it's got a unique lower radiator hose, leave that bad boy connected to the radiator because it does prevent a ton of mess. Well, the coolant you heard was just whatever was left in the hose when it kind of got hung up coming out. Whoa! Right, let's make, how big of a mess can we make today? Definitely need some. This truck is lifted just enough to make it awkward to not have any kind of ladder or step stool. Yeah, almost should have taken the front tires off and dropped it, but that's okay. But then when you get on a step stool, it's almost like not tall enough to be just right. It's the weirdest thing. This thing needs some PB Blaster. Yep, it's a missing ingredient. So PB Blaster is up in the upstairs garage. So WD-40 it is. Totally cool. This thing's just crusty. It's not really rusty, it's crusty. At some point, I'll bring my topside creeper over here, but just not yet. You gotta loosen the alternator where it bolts to the bracket. You could just rip the lower intake manifold out without touching any of this stuff, but I'm hoping that if I take away part of the accessories in the belt, then I'll get to the lower intake manifold and Karma will have it be the fail point. Because if I'm prepping to replace the head gaskets, hopefully it won't be the head gaskets, because I really don't want to do that right now. There is some cool stuff you can do to this engine that I'm researching right now though, which is why I just want to get it repaired so I can get it back on the road. This engine shares a lot with the old V30G, which was the 3-liter V6 in the old Z's and Pathfinders. So there's some cool options out there, all of which I want to explore later on down the road. Not right now. I want my F-250 to be done and my nasty Jeep to either be sold in pieces or be done. It's the worst Jeep ever. You can actually access this pretty easy from underneath the vehicle. I just made a giant mess on the floor and I really don't feel like getting in a pile of kitty litter yet. So yeah, it's a little weird getting it where I'm getting it right now. So that's your semi-pro tech tip. Adjust the alternator positioning with the belt from the floor. All right. Belt is off. There is another adjuster bolt right here I forgot about. So everything on this has an adjuster bolt. There's no automatic tensioner. There we go. If you do get a bunch of crud on your belt, clean it off. Don't let it sit in there. These belts are in excellent shape, but belts are pretty cheap, and I'm hoping to get this on the road for a while. So I don't know, I'll keep these for now. And then you've got this little tiny, this goes off the crank to the alternator. So pretty easy to remember. Yeah, these belts are in really good shape. They're also really good belts too. They weren't cheap junk belts. I think they've got like 20,000 miles on them maybe. This truck actually has had 3 timing belts, 2 which I've replaced, and the last one broke in a grocery store parking lot when my wife was driving it. Pretty lackluster engine failure. Let me bring you over to here. These are marked. I know what you're thinking. They're white. You can barely see them, but that's going in the fan spot. But that's because I can use a Sharpie and correct myself. And I tried to make, this is the first off tray. I tried to make this so it had, like, could go across different vehicle platforms I have. So we'll see how that works. But ideally, my idea is I have a couple trays that can go across multiple vehicles. And then I have like 1 or 2 trays per vehicle that's unique to that vehicle. And the cool part is, when I was making these, I was thinking of all the issues that, things I don't like about using tons of commando cases. One is it takes up tons of bench space. So when I made these, I made them so they'd interlock and sit. And I actually have provisions for magnets, but I took those out. And yeah, these are pretty cool so far. Granted, I'm like, I don't know, I hardly have any bolts in these right now, but I'm digging it. It's gonna be pretty cool. There's some crusties, that's for sure. I think that's the anti-seize. And if you're wondering about the teardown table, let me tell you, I'm super happy with this thing. I did a video on it last year, and I mean, I'm not even maximizing its use, but these little dribbles of trans fluid coming out, you know, does its job. It's pretty good. So that fuel rail on the Xterra is held in by Allen heads. I get to use my new Icon Allen heads. I'm pumped. I've used them once, and they did great to take out the upper intake manifold. Not because I had a set go bad, but because I was slowly over time just losing Allen heads because you hardly use them, and you end up going to the toolbox and grabbing one of them and walking away. And I had a cheap set that was kind of rusty, and I've been really happy with a lot of the Icon tools so far, so that is why I picked up a set of Allen heads from Icon during one of Harbor Freight's many mega sales. So I got a killer deal. I can't remember what I paid, but it's kind of a no-brainer other than ordering. It's either this or order online. I needed them that day, and yeah, it's nice to just drive down to the store and pick up a set. You really got to make sure that the Allen head seats all the way down in there and there's no crud, because these will strip. Oh, perfect. Let's put it in the fuel rail cubby. What's nice is with all these little cubbies, the random sized compression clamps all have a home with the hardware for where it goes. So kind of cool. Maybe I'm nerding out a little bit, but trying to get better at working through projects. Coming in hot. Cool. Just boop. There we go. If you've never seen or heard of a topside creeper and you have trucks, man, get yourself one. Don't do that, but you know, there we go. This is on the lowest setting. There we go. Woo. All right, see, here's a little Allen heads. Whoop. And what do you know? These have a home. Fuel rail. Whoop. So the fuel rail, just like most standard engines, comes out together. I'll disassemble this and spill some fuel all over the floor, but I'll figure out, now that I know there's so much in common with this and the older 3-liter V6, I'm gonna see if I can find some better injectors. Maybe. This has the original injectors that I cleaned up and resealed, but I sent these injectors off to get rebuilt at a reputable shop, only to wait like a month and then have them message me and say that they cannot be rebuilt and refurbished. Yeah, thanks for that waste of time. But I'll see if I can find something good for these. For now, we're gonna let it do its thing on the teardown table. All right. When you pull the fuel rail out, you've got 4 spacers. Here, here, and over here. You'll see when you pull that one and this one. They're like little nylon spacers. Don't lose those. You could totally 3D print these out of nylon or PPSCF, or you could just stack washers, but these have a little bit of bite to them so that the injectors will seat all the way in with the fuel rail. And these are the factory, no, these aren't the factory. I bought these with the reseal kit off Rock Auto. My other ones crumbled when I pulled it out. You could totally print these trays out on the Prusa XL, the newer Bamboo H2S, H2D, H2Cs, an old Cheedy X-Max 3, the Prusa Core 1L, anything that's like 300 by 300 millimeters at least on the build plate. All right, so if you look at this in here, you got some stuff back here you got to get right there. And I want to say that I totally had that off when I installed it because that has an RTV gasket and I wanted to get that just right so it would not leak. So my preferred method of getting this thing off is I'm going to leave that little L pipe connected and I will loosen that hose clamp right there, pop the hose clamp off, and bam, I'm probably spilling more stuff on the floor. But at least my intake manifold will be ready to come off. I think there's some other stuff in there. It is hot right now in Indiana. Like, I won't say it's like North Carolina hot in the summer, but it's hot. Oh, Well, that pulled the whole thing off. That's okay. Remember the little hose clamp pliers? Get your big size. Ah, yeah, come on. This thing, it's really on there. There we go. There we go. That's crusty. Lovely. Pretty sure. Oh, yeah. And just when you're about to pull the intake manifold out, the very front of the lower intake manifold has the upper radiator hose elbow. And it is also bolted through the front accessory brace. And I will show you. And you can't tell. I mean, it looks like it's ready to come off, but when I come down here, just under here, and I'll show you when I get it out, there is a bolt that goes through this guy right here, this plate right here. This is a little tricky because you don't have enough clearance to just throw an extension on this and then kind of come in from the side and fish that in. You've got to find just the right amount of ratchet thickness, just the right amount of socket thickness. This one works pretty good. This is a little 1/4 inch drive, but it's small. It's really, really small. And I can't remember if it's a 10 millimeter or 12 millimeter head. All right, we've got it all ready to come out now. This hose right here, see how I've got it pulled over a little bit? I can't get it off the engine block, so I'm actually gonna slide it off the upper intake hose clamp, or excuse me, elbow. There we go. Out she comes. Not connected to anything. All right. Whoop. Whoop. We dropped all our washers. It's okay. Although one went in the bucket of coolant. That's awesome. Definitely a head gasket. I'm not surprised. Let's take you in there. Look at that. So as suspected, the intake manifold gasket was just fine. And the bottom of this one, as you can kind of see a little bit from there and some of the close-ups, shows no evidence of leaking or any weird like gashes in the soft aluminum when I installed it. Kind of wild. Head gasket. It's fine. It's totally fine. That's going to do it for this episode. We definitely know we have blown head gaskets. I was pretty sure they were blown head gaskets, but I wanted to just at least get the lower intake manifold off because it's got to come off anyways to rule out a faulty lower intake manifold gasket. Nope, those are perfectly fine, doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So I'm going to go through and find the rest of the hardware that came off of the lower intake manifold, spacers and bolts, and clean up my mess I made from earlier, get some parts on order, and next time we see the Xterra in an episode, we're going to be digging deeper into repairing the head gaskets. And probably some other stuff on there, because there's some real old parts that are all original that work, but since I'm in there, might as well replace them. If you made it this far, please like the episode, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.